I've mentioned before that Asterix didn't first appear in the albums. In the early years of it, they were serialized in the pages of Pilote Journal magazine. Today I want to show you what that looks like. So these are the albums we've come to know and love. Probably 90% of Asterix readers alive today have read them via the albums first. But keep in mind, Asterix was a creation of Uderzo and Goscinny for the purposes of their new magazine, Pilote Journal, which was a weekly tabloid or magazine format that was created for an audience of people who were probably just a little bit older than what Spirou was aiming for. So this was for early teenagers to teenagers. So you got stuff like the comic strips, yes, but you also had car articles and plane articles and how things work and all that kind of thing. And comic strips that were aimed at a slightly older reader. All those good things were part of what Pilote did. And if you look on the back covers here, these are issues from 1962 and 1963. You can see pages from Asterix and the Grand Tour and Asterix the Gladiator right there on the back cover. So you knew who the star was of the magazine. Plus, obviously, there's Obelix on the front cover. Well, the original Asterix stories were all serialized here in the magazines amidst all the other articles and comic strips and other things that you can find in here. And I'll do some videos in the future, no doubt, taking a look through some of these because there's a lot of fun stuff to find in here. It's well worth taking a flip through and taking a look. So you had the magazines. Eventually they'd be reformatted, compiled into the trade paperback, the album format, if you will. Does this sound familiar, North American comic book readers? That's what they did. The albums didn't come out until a few years into Pilote, but they turned out to be very popular very quickly. Things steamrolled. Eventually, Asterix would leave the pages of Pilote and go straight to album format. But that wouldn't happen for a few years yet at this point. But there's one other way that these issues were collected, and that is, what if you wanted to read everything in all these issues, not just Asterix? Well, they also did, and this is from a later time period, these hardcover collections of the magazine where they would literally glue 10 issues of the magazine together into one hardcover book. You can't really see it too well in this example, but if you look carefully here, you can see the bindings of all 10 magazines. And if you flip through, you can see that it's just magazine after magazine. Here's the cover to issue 463. And if you flip through that, these pages are a little glossier than what they were printing in 1962 and 1963. There's the end of the first issue. There's the beginning of the next issue. And that would go on for all 10 issues worth. Now this one, we're talking issues 464. The magazine was weekly, so you're figuring this is around the 9th year. There he is, DZM Monet. So this is the 10th year of the magazine. So we're talking 1968-ish, 1967, somewhere in there. It debuted in 1959. So I'm not going to try to do the math off the top of my head. Maybe I'll just put something on the screen with the math for you. But what I wanted to show you here was not just the great Olympics issue cover. But here we go. Number 469 was the debut of, Asterix Returns, debut of Asterix in the Cauldron, which you can see on the back cover of the previous issue was being teased right there. In next week's issue of Pilote, The Cauldron. And here's where the story started. And it's actually a really good couple of pages they started with. It's super bright and colorful. I mean, this is a step up from newsprint, but not by much. You can see it's got that I don't know what they call it, foxing or something. There's a term for it. But when the edges of papers turn sort of yellowish or brownish, tannish, if you will, on the outer edges there, that's what's happening there to the pages. The interior pages stayed nice and clean and nice and white. And the colors on these first two pages are pretty awesome, actually. But these are lots of fun to take a look through. We'll definitely do videos on that in the future. But that just wanted to give you an idea there of how it is that Asterix was initially serialized in the magazine, collected in the albums, and was also part of the collections of the magazines themselves. Just a little bit of history lesson for you. For those of us in North America, those of you in France and Belgium, you've probably already fallen asleep, and you're thinking, ces Américains, ils sont fous. I agree. Thank you all for watching. I'm Augie Blake Jr. and we'll see you back again real soon for the next page of Page by Toutatis for Asterix and the Big Fight.